Hello, and welcome to take 2 of the Geek Initiative's first Google Hangout. We are talking about what is a gamer anyway, and how do we define gaming as a culture and as a subculture. So I'm just waiting for our friends to join us, and they should be here shortly.
Tara.
Oh my gosh!
Hooray.
No, oh, Steph is here! Okay, now I need to figure out how to get everyone else back. I had one person on before, and nobody else could get on. Did you use the link?
I clicked the link directly, but I also I logged in and out of Google, and I fiddled with my settings, and I added the Geek Initiative to my circle. So I don't know if it was any of those.
Maybe that's it. Oh, maybe that's it. Okay, I'm just gonna post this link and just spam Facebook messages to everyone and just be like, click on this thing. Hopefully that'll work. And oh, Jill said she wants to come in too. She also LARPs, so that would be fun.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Hopefully this will work. I'm gonna try and just Facebook message everyone and assume that the link is the solution. I hope it is. Okay. I'm trying to individually Facebook message everyone, and then the computer is like, I just want to die.
Yeah, it chugged a bit with the video.
Yeah, it's not happy. I have another computer right here, but it's even worse. So I'm afraid to do anything other than leave my questions up on the computer. Laptop. Love Ciara. Okay. There's another one sent. All right. I'm going to have to abandon that strategy. Okay. So now I have only Google and go back to computer. Opening another tab.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. What's up? Oh my gosh, yes! People! All right, it's working. Excellent.
Did this work?
Yes, I can hear you guys. So sorry about all the crazy technical. And then we'll be all set.
I'm gonna go find a better Wi-Fi connection.
If you want, geekinitiative.com, and this is our first Google Hangout, in case you couldn't tell by my absolute craziness at being unable to do Google Hangout. And thing.
Every time you tap your mic, it ends up showing your picture. I just want everybody to know that. Every time you make a sound, it'll show up.
Some tech stuff and then let you go. Again, my name is Tara, and what kind of games do I like to play? I primarily do that. I play some video games, like I enjoy like sim games, but I also games and my Star Wars Old Republic, World of Warcraft, the usual. And I also like strategy games like Civilization and Settlers of Catan. I'm not amazing at them, but they're really fun. And that's pretty much me. So I'll let you guys go and do that, and I'm totally listening, but I'm just on my other computer trying to get the rest of our crew in here as we go. So.
I guess I will go next. Hi, I'm Kathleen. Most people know me as Casey. I am a person that plays all types of games. I'm a LARPer.
Bill,
I
do you want
play
to go
fantasy
next?
games.
Oh, there you go. Okay.
Yep. I play fantasy games. I played Vampire the Masquerade for LARPs. I'm also a big World of Warcraft player for the Horde. And, well, I've also played Alliance, too. I've also am really big into stuff like Team Fortress. I'm also really big into console games like Assassin's Creed, Fable, and then, you know, Steam Sale. So that always ends up with me in trouble. And that's me. I do some D&D, but not as often as I'd like.
So I guess I'll go next.
Sure.
My name is Shayna Alley, and I'm a gamer of many flavors, though I don't actually use the title gamer very often. I just consider myself a lot of fun. I play everything from tabletop role-playing games to board games, actually. Really into Euro games, but I'll play a good game of Monopoly with my family just because my mom's hysterical when she plays it. I also play a variety of video games on top of having recently gotten into LARP. And I guess if we're going into different flavors and styles, I love a good resource board game. So a lot of stuff like Carcassonne, or in the case of resource gathering, Lords of Watergate, which has recently been one of my favorites. It's actually Waterdeep, but with the corruption expansion, it might as well be Watergate. Video game wise, I tend to prefer RPGs, though I can throw down a good FPS if I'm asked into it. I do like the collaborative aspect there, not so much in MMORPGs, so I tend to stay away from most of that sort of stuff. But if you ask my boyfriend, he says that's the way to go. Yeah, so always been into role playing in the tabletop scene.
I guess I'll go next. I'm Stephanie. Hi. I do a lot of, well, I started out in video games growing up, and in college it turned into D&D, so and I kind of got into role playing, and then a while later I got into LARP, and I mean, I don't know, I play video games. Yay. I play mainly RPGs. I'm not so good at FPS. Pretty good at puzzle games. But like, yeah, I don't like MMOs so much because I play mainly for stories. So when you have an MMO, there is a story there, but there's no real ending.
Stop. end the misery. I just want to invite my friend.
I know, jeez.
That was pretty much it. So,
Another computer set up over to my right, so if I look over there, that's why.
Oh,
ooh, someone's playing the original cast, the 10-minute cast.
yeah, that was me. Sorry about that.
That's okay.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Here we go. Now it's working, yay!
Hey, Jill. Your voice is really warped. You kind of sound a little bit like a chipmunk.
A little bit. But an adorable chipmunk, it's true. The cutest chipmunk, it's true.
Is anyone a druid? Because we can translate.
She's a druid. The chipmunk is a druid.
The chipmunk's a druid. No. It's really cute.
She's laughing and it's just even better.
I feel really bad because I feel like we're laughing at her, but we're laughing at the microphone. It's just, it's like a high, it's like, it's sped up really fast.
It sounds like the early Chippendales when they're arguing between each other.
Can you stop smiling?
Yeah.
Aww. No, she left.
No.
Oh, bye,
So
Jill.
I could introduce Jill. She's a LARPer. She plays with me. She's really big into Team Fortress 2. She also plays a lot of Steam games, and she's also a really big World of Warcraft player. And that's kind of everything about Jill, I guess, for her intro. But she's awesome.
She is, and she's a ridiculously good role player.
No, it's still broken.
Aw.
Still chipmunk voice, no!
This is like the world's best, like, technical malfunction.
Jill, what about that microphone that I gave you, or Chris gave you? Maybe you could plug that in? That's the one you're using?
You're translating.
Okay.
Yeah, don't worry about it. It's just the internet. It'll be on here forever.
I'm laughing so hard, I'm crying.
Oh my gosh, me too. Me too. So for the moment, let's skip over to Tony's intro, and then we'll see if we can maybe get Jill's microphone fixed.
So I get to go first?
Yourself. No chipmunk. Oh no, we're like at the end. But go. Just say who you are and what kind of games you play.
Okay, so my name's Tony, and I play all sorts of games. So I pretty much ran the gamut from video games to LARPing to role-playing games.
Awesome.
Ta-da!
Ta-da! So that's all the intros, except Jill's full intro, but maybe when she gets her non-chipmunk voice, she can chime in. So when that happens, feel free to just start and be like, I'm Jill, and here's my introduction, and a non-chipmunk is a gamer. My next question for everyone, what kind of does a gamer play? Do they play just video games, tabletop RPGs, LARPs, which for those of you who don't know in the audience that are watching later, because everyone on here knows this, are live-action role-playing games. Board games, social games, like Candy Crush on Facebook, do they count? Can you be a hardcore gamer if you're on Candy Crush like 8 hours a day? What do you guys think?
I think we're all waiting to see who goes first.
Okay,
Taylor's
then
ready,
I'll
she can go.
take it.
Go for it.
Honestly, I've only ever heard the term and title gamer as a
Oh no, Shayna.
She left.
Did she freeze?
I think she did. Yeah, she's sadly gone. She went away. All right, does anybody else? Does anyone else want to handle the question?
Sure, I will go.
All right.
Okay, I've always heard the term gamer for video games, but I think that term, as geek culture has gotten more widespread, people have used it for people that do live action role play, board games, D&D. I think it's really a term for anybody that just is dedicated to playing games. Although when everybody thinks of that term first, they always think video games, at least in my mind. Maybe I'm wrong with everybody else, but I'm assuming everybody thinks video games first. But for me, my personal definition is anybody that spends more than an hour on the hobby of gaming could be called a gamer. At least, an hour every week. Most people play a lot more than that, especially if they're really into it. But to me, that's the definition.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Especially like in the early '80s and '90s when video gaming was starting to get traction and everything, and board gaming. Uh, people we're starting to see with and Critical Role on Speak and Sundry's Twitch channel, you're starting to see more of the other people starting to, the other gamers starting to gain title. So that's a gamer who loves to game. And that's the broad definition of it, in my opinion.
Unfortunately, buddy, we only caught about half of that.
Awesome.
Yeah, you kind of...
Art.
It devolved into a little bit of...
Robot.
Yeah. We suspect it's the storm.
There's a storm hitting me. I don't know about you guys.
Jillian, we can hear you.
Yes!
Yay!
Woo!
We like the chipmunk, but we like hearing you more.
All right, so Jill, can you just quickly introduce yourself, and then we can move on to the maybe fixing robot voice?
Hey, sure. I'm Jill, and I forgot most of what I said the first time I tried this. So, I play a lot of first-person shooters, Team Fortress, H1Z1, DayZ, mostly DayZ. I like some strategy games like The Escapists. I play a lot of Dungeons and Dragons. I like a lot of indie games, And I used to play WoW. I recently had to quit because of school, but I love RPG games. And I LARP. I LARP a lot. Maybe too much.
Never too much.
Never too much.
much.
Never too much. Death before dishonor.
So Shayna, did you want to go ahead and continue where you left off, answering the question about what a gamer is to you, or what games a gamer plays, rather?
Actually, did Tony want to retry some portions of his, or?
Give me just a few moments. My phone is butt right now.
All right, I'll take it, and then I guess we can try to spin back next to you, see if maybe it's cleared up a bit.
Yeah, give me just a moment.
He's been assimilated. He's one of the Borg now.
Unfortunately.
All right.
Cylons. They're all Cylons.
So, to me, a gamer has always been associated with video games. That's when I first heard the term, honestly. And it wasn't just someone who plays video games, but someone who plays it a lot. Now, that seems to be what I found other people's definitions of it is. Honestly, to me, it's anybody who plays games. It doesn't matter if you only play 5 minutes here or there, but generally I do consider it something as associated with video games. Now, I guess inherently built into the word board games and of that sort, or tabletop role-playing games, it would be very fair to like umbrella everything under that term games. But to me, it's definitely a video game thing. I know one of the later questions will kind of go more into the stigma, but that's my definition.
All right, Tony, you want to try speaking again? We'll see if you're back from the Borg.
That was an ominous noise.
I know.
Oh, sorry. That was a zipper.
All right, I don't hear any Tony, so I'm going to take it right over to Steph.
Yeah, I agree that the gamer, oh man, I completely forgot, that the gamer label can be applied much more broadly than video games, but I just thought of this. It's like, but the thing is, like, if you have Candy Crush Saga on your phone, and that's the only type of gaming that you do, like you're a secretary or whatever, and that's all you play. I mean, you could play it for hours, but I don't think that is necessarily a gamer, because that's more of like, that could be a time-wasting activity, where it's like you're playing the game, but it's like it could just be as a time-wasting activity, or just something. Oh no, we lost somebody. Just something fun, and that might not make a person a gamer. Like there's like a minimum threshold, I guess. And some people, like, they might have like 10 Facebook games, and they're all Facebook gaming all day, and that they might not consider themselves to be a gamer for that.
I actually agree with that a lot.
My turn?
Yep.
My feelings sort of flash back to something that Shanna said when she took the words like video game or tabletop game together, because I never thought of myself as a gamer for LARPing, because I associate that with a LARPer. So I really think it's down to the words, and I think that if anyone wants to call themselves a gamer, if they just play like casual games, or if they just play like Sudoku, I guess they can have the title. I don't think it's like anything exclusive, but it does have sort of something implied with it, that it takes some sort of vision. Like, it takes a dedicated writer to call themselves a writer, even if some people just like write letters daily. Does that make sense?
And Jill, what about you? What kind of games does a gamer play, in your opinion?
I honestly, who had mentioned before about the Candy Crush, because my brain is just everywhere today. I do think that some games can be considered just mindless time wasters. Like, it doesn't necessarily make you a gamer. It can, be a pleasant time waster or something like that. I honestly think it's someone that actually will sit and dedicate time to level grinding or other sorts of things like that can make someone a gamer. But then the problem is, what type of games would qualify as that? Because then you'll always have the person that sits and says, I'm level blah, blah, blah in Candy Crush or whatever you want to call it. But I don't think that necessarily makes them a gamer. If that made any sense at all.
That does make sense, and I think this question came up for me when I started my new job, and fortunately I work in a very LARP-friendly environment, so it's totally cool to be out as a LARPer there, but I didn't know everyone, and one of the guys on my team, he used to be a video game writer and programmer, so I'm like, well, I don't know anything about this dude. He could be like all judgy and gamer-gatey, or he could be totally cool. I have no idea, so I didn't want to be like, I LARP! Yeah! Let's just release the nerd, And I put on my work Twitter profile to make it not so boring, that I'm a gamer. And he was like, oh, what do you play? And so, I casually mentioned some of the video games that I play sometimes. But, I'm not playing video games every night. I'm running my website. I'm spending time on my LARP stuff. I devote a lot of time to writing songs for LARPing. In July, I'm doing 3 LARPs, so that's a lot of preparation. And so I finally told him, yeah, I'm a LARPer. I do live-action role-playing, and he was like, oh, that's cool. And he turned out to be really awesome. But the thing of it is, though, I know what he meant was, what video games you play. And my first instinct was actually to say what video games I play, even if I hadn't felt like maybe it wasn't cool to, say that I LARP. Whereas, really, when I think about what I spend the most time on, it's preparing for LARPs. It's playing LARPs. I mean, if you go for even just a whole weekend and you're, immersed in character for, over 48 hours, that's a pretty big deal. That's kind of pretty hardcore gaming, you're really in it. So I do find it interesting that, many people think hardcore video gamer when you say video games. And now that Tony's back, he can answer and maybe not sound like the Borg.
Like a what?
The Borg.
Yay.
So what was the question? I already forgot.
The question was, to you, what kinds of games does a gamer play?
Oh, okay. So, in my opinion, just the term gamer in the 80s and 90s was more of video gaming, because that's when video games was sort of getting traction and getting popular, whereas board games and tabletop RPGs were starting to get less popular. Now I think because of tabletop with Will Wheaton and with just the Geek and Sundry stuff and just a whole bunch of other independent people, I think that a gamer is just somebody who enjoys having fun and playing games. So I think that you can put the term gamer to pretty much anybody nowadays.
And you and I met, I don't know how many of the people watching this will know our background, but Tony and I actually met through a text-based role-playing game on AOL, which is so old school, and this was maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And we met up actually with a bunch of people from our group, and it was really cool.
And
but
trained at the time, but sure.
Why not? It was it was one of those things wow, all right. And I mean, we were all gaming for hours a day. But when I think about oh, I'm gaming, I'm not thinking about it I'm sitting here with these collaborative role-playing stories. I'm a gamer, What do you think about that, Tony?
Well, in the day, when AOL was actually a thing that people knew about, there was a lot of people who did just collaborative writing, and it was fun because it was basically like tabletop role-playing games without so much rolling the dice. It was kind of like a diceless system. And so, like, my character would be like, hey, I'm going to go hit that guy. And then another person's character is like, hey, I'm going to go sing stuff. And it was just fun. I mean, I don't know why typing at a computer, just reacting to another person, was fun for 13 hours at a time, but it was. We
That's
found a
what
way.
got me started, actually, now that I'm thinking about it.
Right.
I didn't
And
think
so-
that I was gaming. I just thought that I was telling a story.
Yeah, but it was game-like because you were reacting to something that somebody else said or did, and you know, I mean, I thought it was really cool, and I still do it sometimes to this day on AOL.
Yeah, I'm a fan of the LARP forums. Like, you can't keep me off of the LARP forums between events, and it's kind of like there's a collaborative storytelling element to text-based role-playing games, but some of the games that that run online aren't only turn-based logic. Like, they do have a system where you can actually roll dice, and it feels a little bit more like a tabletop game. And I guess, you know, all sorts of games vary to that degree too. Like, LARPs vary to that degree. Some of them don't really have really concise rules, and other ones, you know, have like really specific combat rules, for example.
Oh yeah.
To cycle back what Tony was saying really quick, when he said everybody can pretty much be a gamer, I noticed that gamification, which is what companies do for enticing customers and stuff like that, they're making games for customers to play in order to sell their product. So yeah, it's like everybody is kind of accepting the term gamer or making games, and even big corporations are doing it now. So I think it's kind of like much more widespread than it was.
Yeah, I don't know if you guys saw what Disney is doing now. They've had the I forget what it's called. They have like a system that you hook up to the Xbox or whatever, and it's also a collectibles game.
Oh,
And
yeah.
now Disney Infinity, and then they made Marvel Infinity, and I have all of the Marvel action figures that go with the thing. But now they have a thing where you like hook on this thing like to your wrists and like your head, and it's for kids, and the gaming device itself is small, portable, and durable, and you can take it with you wherever you go. And in order to succeed in the game, you actually have to like punch and move around, and the idea is that it's portable and that kids can play with this outside, and they can interact with each other using this device outside. And it's yeah, for kids. Jill says for kids. The moment I saw it, I was like, is it big enough for me to wear? Because obviously I'm Thor. But anyway, yeah, like they're definitely realizing that that's a good way to kind of like merge, I guess, the role-playing element that kids like, as well as satisfying the needs of the parents or selves of people that want exercise to be a part of their daily lives as well.
Yeah, I think the Wii exercise games, for instance, is like one of the most widespread games for like household moms, because they don't realize they're playing a game, like they're earning points and things like that, but they're also exercising and weighing themselves. But it's still a game because there's a point system and a reward system and achievements and things like that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
Sorry. Yeah, even before the Wii,
go
the
ahead.
original Nintendo system had the zapper that would help you work on your eye-hand coordination, and they used to have the power pad where you just ran on it, so you got some exercise there.
World
So,
Olympics, yeah.
so this isn't a new thing for Nintendo. So people who say, hey, this is a new thing, it's really not. So obviously the Wii kind of protected it, but I mean, this was back old Nintendo.
And what do you guys think about the word gamer? Does that have positive connotations, negative connotations, or does it depend on, I guess, the forum in which the word is used?
I'll pick this up first. When I initially heard and was actually asked if I was a gamer, immediately said no. No, I'm not a gamer. Despite the fact that I would spend 6-ish hours playing Killing Floor, and then I also did a lot of the forum role-playing and everything like that, I called myself a casual. Because if you were to ask me about any level of other games, like the particularities of WoW, despite having tested and sampled a lot of different games, I couldn't go into the mechanics of it. I didn't think of myself as a true gamer and somebody that actually devotes way more time to it than I did. there was a huge stigma for it, especially growing up like where I was. It wasn't exactly the cool thing to play video games. Most people were playing outside, or even me reading books was seen as kind of like too nerdy. So a lot of that sort of stuff I kind of kept hidden, despite the fact that my parents were really big into gaming. So I always had computer games growing up, everything from like Oregon Trail in school. You best not show that you really liked that game because you get made fun of for it. So yeah, there was definitely a stigma before. Now it's kind of been like dispelled by society's acceptance, especially with all of the marketing.
I guess I'll go next. Um, when it comes to the term gamer, I've never actually denied that I was not one or that I was one. If people ask me honestly, I'd say yes. Like, I would be one of those people that would buy a video game and then return it to GameStop within like a couple days to go and get a bunch of used games for the same price. So I played a lot of video games when I was younger, did all the strategy guides and things like that. When people asked me, I never really thought of it as a negative thing because I was kind of proud of it. Like, I spent all this time doing this, and even though nobody else is gonna think it's cool that I beat the world boss in like X amount of time, I thought it was cool, and the people that I play and talk to that were interested in that thought it was cool. So I guess to me it never really seemed negative until people started pointing that out to me in high school, and then I kind of quieted down a little bit, but I never denied that I played video games or that I was a gamer. I just was kind of much more quiet about being loud in class saying, "Oh, I did X, Y, and Z." So to me, I was always a gamer. I'm still a gamer. It just doesn't really affect me as to people's views on it.
Okay. I forgot the question. Yeah.
The question is, do you think gamer has positive or negative connotations, and why? And does that change based on, like, I guess, when or where you are?
I think nowadays gamer has a more positive connotation than it used to in the past. I'd say it's like there is like neutral and positive and negative. It's above. I mean, because there's still that stereotype of when you think of a gamer that like they're a nerdy guy playing in his mom's basement, or a LAN party with a bunch of people who haven't washed in a while. Or they get like super obsessive about things. Like a lot of TV shows, like the crime of the week. Like a lot of times, it seems like the ones about video games is about people who get overly obsessed with them and they take them into the real world. And I think one was like a guy thought he was playing a sniper game and they were tracking him down, and it's like. So it's not entirely positive now, but I think it's much more liked. Like a lot of sometimes people will think of gamers as like the guys in a frat house playing, like Mario Kart or Call for Duty, or Left 4 Dead. And it's like it's a cool thing to do with friends when you're in college or when you're like younger, and it's sort of branching out more because the people who started playing video games when they were little, who got the Nintendo Entertainment System for like their third or fourth birthday, or their older brother did, and I got to play it. Like they're getting older, and now we're having kids. Like my cousins played it all the time, and now they have a whole bunch of kids who are kicking their butts in every video game, and so it's becoming more and more widespread. But yeah, like when I was in school, I went to an all-girls school, so I was like the computer girl, but I was also like the video game girl. And one time I was talking with a friend, she's like, "Oh yeah, I played this video game, but I couldn't get past the first boss." And I'm like, it told you what to do. And so it was great that I had this bonding moment with her, but it was also like, it's like she wasn't even, like, I think her boyfriend made her do it. So it was like she didn't even want to do it, so it was a disconnect as well. Yeah.
I think I'm seeing a lot of what I wanted to say, like, in the chat. But I don't think anyone's ever asked me outright, but if they did, I would probably say no, because I know, especially when I start talking about games or anything, then I'm asked a million questions to prove that I am truly a gamer or I am truly whatever. And honestly, I don't want to answer all those questions. Like, I just do this for fun and for enjoyment. I don't need a quiz. I'm not going to win anything unless you're going to bake me a cake when I answer all these questions correctly. So I'd probably just say no, because the cake's a lie, honestly.
I can make cakes.
I've had too much cake.
About the El Scorcho cake, I can make great cakes. Yay!
It's great. I love cake.
Cake is great.
Cake is great.
But yes, I would say no, because I don't want to be asked the questions.
Yeah.
Nope, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to jump in and say about, like if you know enough inside jokes. Like I generally play RPGs, but from like the internet and everything, I know so many pop culture, or almost like the main jokes from other games, like took an arrow to the knee, but I've never played Skyrim. So it's like you can pass enough. So
that's true. Like you can get by if you know some of the references. That's true.
Yeah, I watch a lot of Let's Plays because my newest system, my newest console is a PlayStation 2, and my lovely computer can barely handle this. So I want to play, but I can't. So I watch a lot of Let's Plays so that I'm still in the loop.
Me too.
I think if you ever grew up where you went to a friend's house to play on like their console, it kind of was Let's Play anyway, because usually it was like a one-person game and you watched them play it anyway, so you felt like you played the game.
Yeah.
I used to do that. My brother would play the one-player RPG, and I would sit on the couch and I would kind of co-pilot sometimes.
Backseat gaming.
In big boss fights, because he'd try and brute force boss fights in video games, and I would be like, no, he, like, the guy on the way here said he's weak to poison. Try poisoning him. No, I don't want to. I'm going to hit him with the sword. Just try it. Just try it. And it works. And then it works. And then...
Everybody needs a wingman.
So, yeah.
I'm up. Yeah.
You're up.
For me, I don't mind saying that I am a gamer, but I work in where I am now, I work in healthcare, and the department that I'm in is mostly like young guys between the ages of 18 and 60. And when I tell them that I play video games, it's automatically, oh, well, you're just trying to get guys to notice you. But the thing is that because I live off of internet memes, I can make the arrow to the knee joke and never have picked up Skyrim, like you said. But then again, I can turn around and make a Team Fortress reference, and they'll be looking at me like, well, what does scoot mean? You know, what does that mean? And I don't feel like I should have to explain myself for wanting to play video games as a girl, because there is the stigma of gamer girlism, not just gamer. And rather be the gamer girl that goes, oh no, I'm going to sit around and play Call of Duty in my panties, versus sit around in my pajamas and try and save Hyrule for the 80th time, and it's 2 o'clock in the morning and I've been subsidizing off of Red Bull. I'll take Red Bull and pajamas over putting on the proverbial lipstick and panties and be the, oh no, you shot me.
Wouldn't you get cold?
Huh?
Wouldn't you get cold if you're sitting around in your underwear?
I don't know. I don't know. I don't speak from experience.
I've got a confession.
You've done it, haven't you?
It's a confession.
Yes,
So
child.
I do whatever the hell is comfortable, thank you. I don't consider myself a gamer girl just because I decide to play in the nude. Because, I don't know, playing Guitar Hero nude is way much more fun and risque than it is.
Oh my god, why didn't I think to do that?
But I don't consider that a gamer girl thing. I actually think doing the whole knowing the reference but not actually having played the game, because I always thought gamer girl was because they were ditzy about it. Like, oh,
That's
I
what
know
I thought.
everything there is to know about it, but really it's just because she like Wikipedia searched it or something like that. Like, I thought boys could actually pass for gamer girls if they didn't know their shit, and I'm like, so which side do you like to play? Do you like to be the infected, or you want to be like one of the, and they're like, what? And I'm like, yeah, you don't really know what you are. Stop being a gamer girl. Get the hell out of here, you know?
I don't want to put gamer girl into a negative connotation,
Yeah.
but I think it has fallen into a gamer is the masculine term and gamer girl is the oh no, arrow to the knee kind of ditzy sing along lackadaisy type of thing.
Well,
But I actually just my train of thought derailed. Go on.
The
um,
application of the word lackadaisy, I appreciate it.
I know that
Yeah.
was nice. That was awesome.
Yeah.
well, actually,
English
that
major.
Tony, I want to hear a guy's perspective on
Oh
on
my
this,
God.
especially after
You're
that
tearing
kind of
the guy
fashion.
That's the whole reason why I'm here, so I can be the Smurfette for you guys. Honestly, I've never really had to deal with positive or negative. I guess maybe because I have penis and shit like that. But you know, I mean, I've never really thought about it. But now that I am, I think gamer, except in extreme cases, is a good thing. I think that it improves people's minds. It makes them more open to things. I mean, I've considered myself a gamer ever since Patty Cake and Duck Duck. And back then, the only thing that you really needed to know is this guy fasted at me, or why the hell is my mom covering her eyes with her hands? So, I mean, I don't know, like kickball, I didn't really care whether you were a girl or whether you were a guy, whether you were white, black, Asian, whatever. The only thing that I really cared about is, can you kick the ball and can you run fast? So, I mean, I don't know. For me, I guess this question, it's a little bit stranger than, you know, asking someone who's had to go through it, because I've never really gone through it before. But overall, except in extreme cases, like the whole gamer girl thing, which, you know, that's fine for them, I think gamer is a good thing.
Awesome. I think that when I was younger, now I'll say I'm old. I'm the ripe old age of 34. When I was younger, you know, I definitely think gamer had more of a negative connotation, and now it's more like something that people, you know, just apply to like the hardcore gamer type, and it's not necessarily as negative. But I definitely don't see that applied as often to women. And I also feel like since it's skewed towards video games, and since many people seem to think that a gamer is playing like hardcore video games and that sort of thing, that's kind of that it continues to be applied more often to men than to women. And you know, that's not to say a lot of guys don't LARP. You know, in a lot of games there's more men than women, but it seems to me like it's just stuck with that hardcore video gamer thing. Also, I see Kevin is on here. Hi, Kevin. It is good to hear from you.
People I don't know.
Hey, everybody.
Hello. We're just going through, you know, a string of questions, and just, you know, feel free to hop in. The last one I actually just asked, if you want to jump in right now, is do you think the word gamer has positive or negative connotations, and why?
That's a good one. I think it can be both, but it depends on, I guess, what you're comparing it to. Because I'm not a big fan of the word geek. I'm not a big fan of some of the other connotations that come with the, you know, the sort of nerd. Sorry, nerd is another one that I'm not a big fan of. I prefer to be called a gamer, but that doesn't mean that it has the best connotations. It's just better than some other words that could be, you know, have been used to describe the culture.
And we all did a little intro before, but Kevin, if you'd just like to say a little bit about yourself, who you are, and what types of games you personally enjoy playing.
Sure, yeah. Obviously, my name's Kevin. I'm up here in Canada, and I typically enjoy RPGs, usually something with a storyline, and that's usually really my only criteria. I have LARPed in the past. I've taken about a 2-year break from LARPing at this point, and mostly just focused on other things.
Awesome. And we're going to move on to question 4 of 6, which is, have people ever challenged you when you say you're a gamer? And if so, why? Who wants to start? And then I'll go ahead and post a batting order.
I'll start.
Go for it.
As you can tell, I don't really look like the gamer. I don't own a headset. I don't. Okay, now I do own a lot of video game shirts. But whenever I mention anything about gaming, people are like, "Really, little girl? You're a gamer? I bet you can't even hold a controller correctly." And I'm like, "No, I probably can't because I spend most of my time on the PC." But that doesn't make me any less legitimate. I'm often challenged. I think it's because of how I look or how I sound, but people just don't believe me for some reason.
I don't get challenged because I wear the gamer nerd thing pretty much on my sleeve and on my shirts and everything. So people really don't question me. In fact, I'm wearing a shirt right now, if you guys can see that.
Nice, D20.
I see that. Yep, you got a D20.
It says I'd hit it and deal double damage. And sorry if you saw my crotch there, but whatever. We're nerds. But and I have like my Marvel shirts, and I mean I put it out there, and I don't care who says what, because in the end you have to love what you do. So that's my up. But you don't have to take my word for it. Da da dun.
I definitely have gotten challenged before. Mostly just because it's the stigma of, oh, overweight chick trying to catch a guy playing video games. And then it's, let me snipe you, and then we'll talk. And then it's, oh, well, you don't have a life, so clearly all you do is play video games. I do get challenged a lot when it comes to, you know, are you a real gamer girl if all you do is play PC games? You don't do anything on console. And it's to each their own with particular preference. I could play Borderlands on console, but I prefer PC. It's a personal thing. I don't need to explain myself to anybody. And it even goes with LARP too. Like when you LARP, you're constantly having people go, "Oh, well, is it really gaming? Are you really doing anything out there? Or are you just playing dress up?" And you have to fight back and say, yeah, pretty much. It's
Jill,
gaming.
just to interrupt really quickly, how long have you played your main character at MR? Because I remember you were talking about it recently, and I was like, whoa, that's a long time.
10 years. October
10 years.
2007. I was
Wow.
17. This October will be my 11-year anniversary.
Congrats. Now that is
I'm old.
pretty much a devoted gamer right there.
No, I've pissed away going to college in favor of killing orcs in the woods. Don't be like me. Otherwise you'll be 28 and being like, shit, I don't even have my associates.
I picked my college because it was closest to my LARP ground.
I just decided that I wanted to kill things in the woods rather than learn how to clean teeth. And look at me now. Fuck my life. I'm done.
So I guess the trend is that we've all been pretty challenged here. I'm no exception. Um, actually, because of my gaming group, they actually challenged me when it came up to who's the true gamer there. So I played Left 4 Dead 2 like avidly. I was playing every night for a while. That was like another 4 or 5 hours, and then I do my own thing on top of writing and a whole bunch of other nerdy outlets, I guess others think. But yeah, they were just better shots. They had better technical control over how they were capable in the game, and because they knew all of like the glitches and stuff like that, could just kick my butt. Now, I put in as many hours as they did, and there were times where I would be snubbed, not chosen in a particular faction because they didn't want me to be a handicap on their team. Now, there were those epic moments where I would get a charger and just show them how brutal I could be by just before they would get get right into the safe house, slam them against like right against the door. And those were like sweet moments. But yeah, my own friends. So usually I just called myself like, casual because in that sense, compared to them, because everything's relative. No, I really wasn't a gamer like they were. Now, I've never heard of anybody doing the because you play PC games, you're not a gamer. But whenever others have asked me what like system you play on, which is a common question to ask anybody who says that they're a gamer. Oh, well, what console do you play or what system? What's your preference, here? I usually say I'm a PC. Even though I played Xbox 360, I did the whole Nintendo, I had GameCube, I have a 3DS sitting over here. But I say PC just, and if they ask me why, and I don't banter about it, there's a little bit of like friendly, like, oh, PC Master Race, all that stuff. But I say because I have better control with my mouse than I do with a controller nowadays. I tried to go back to an Xbox 360 controller to play Fallout 3, and that didn't go over so well for me. My aim was just all the way off, and I couldn't zoom in like I can on my computer. Just the ability to, and as I go into depth about what I like about it, the people realize that I'm serious about, what I do, and that I have that experience behind me. Being able to talk about the things I know.
You haven't experienced frustration until try and play I Am Bread without a controller? Because trying to do that shit on a keyboard, you'll shoot yourself.
There's a couple of things where obvious key combos are way easier to button mash on a controller than it is on a keyboard. Like I was trying to play Battle Block Theater, or what was it? No, it's this game where it's like wrestlers and you're going through and you're trying to, gosh, it was a multiplayer game. I don't even remember the name of it, but I played it last summer. And that one, if I didn't have a controller, I don't think I could have done it on keyboard. But those are few and far between. So most of my challenge has been amongst my friends, less so than people as far as people. In the Navy, I was known for actually being somewhat zombie obsessed. I played that up. Not because I actually did like zombies, and this is before it became really big and blew up. I did it just because actually one of my friends was really into Resident Evil, and it just became a theme, what people associated me as, so I'd always have something I could talk to them about rather than being like, so about that weather, or yeah, so what watch are you doing next? It always gave them some way to approach me that would help open things up.
Makes sense.
Yeah. So, could you repeat the question, please? Because I'm dumb.
Yes, absolutely. Have people ever challenged you when you say you're a gamer? And if so, why do you think they do that?
I'm probably going to have the unusual experience of saying no, with a whole bunch of caveats to that. Like I said before, I was kind of like the only one in my school, or in my grade, who played. So most of my video games, or my gamer experience up until college was me by myself or me with my brother. When I got to college, like I was too shy, and I'm pretty oblivious about a lot of social things. So like I wouldn't necessarily talk to the kids at the anime club or the gaming club. I didn't even know we had a gaming club at college for like 2 years. But then when I went with my group of friends, it was about actually a 50-50 male-female split. So there really wasn't any kind of bias there, and I wasn't excluded from things. I mean, I was compared to them, I had the least experience with D&D, with Guitar Hero, with most of the other games we played. So I was kind of the newbie, but they wouldn't exclude me. I mean, I dress pretty nerdily. Not currently at the moment, but I have a lot of gaming shirts, and I have some subtle gaming shirts where it's like it's a cool pattern, and then you look closely, and it's like, oh, those are the Mario warp pipes. Like, okay, that's cool. I mean, I LARP now, and again, I'm oblivious to a lot of things, so I don't know if, like, I'm challenged. I'm being challenged on things because I know a lot of rules and stuff, but I'm a player. So, like, if somebody asks a rules question, like a new player is like, how does this healing spell work? And it's like, I'm not that class, I'm not that, I might not be that type of character, except I'm totally a healer. And I can answer off the top of my head, and maybe once or twice, like, people have been like, how do you, like, I'm going to ask someone else for the information. So, yeah.
So, like Stephanie, I'm also going to be kind of unusual, I guess. I was never really challenged for being a gamer. I've had people question my knowledge sometimes, but not in a challenging way. More of, can you tell me more information about that? Or like, oh, well, I want to fact check that, but not in really a challenging way. Like they're kind of usurping my claim of being a gamer or playing games or knowing about playing games. I've never really circle back to Jill. I've never really been like classified as the gamer girl because of putting up false knowledge or anything like that. So I haven't really had people challenge me whenever I would say that I've played a game or I've beaten something or not beaten something. So my experiences have actually been pretty okay so far in the gaming world.
Kevin, how about you? Have people ever challenged your gamer status?
I'm gonna go with no because I'm very selective in where I bring up. Like I view myself as an open book. I have no problems talking about anything. But at the same token, if I'm out, let's say, with a certain type of friends of mine or a certain type of social environment, gaming isn't the focus. So I don't bring it up. All right. And then if I'm ever in a gaming scenario where I would maybe possibly need to talk about being a gamer, I've already proven it by gaming with that person. Or, so for instance, I don't need to tell people I LARP with or used to LARP with that I'm a gamer because I'm there, right? I don't need to tell people I play League with that I'm a gamer because I'm there. So I kind of find it a non-factor for me just because of the environments that I expose to that, I guess.
Jill, to answer your question, I think that the join link that I just posted, but they can go to the Geek Initiative's Google Plus page, and the stream should be actually posted on there as the most recent event, and then they can just click, and should be in as just like a viewer. So,
Sweet.
And for my answer to that question, I don't really identify myself as a gamer a lot. However, I've really been thinking about it a lot recently, and I don't feel like it's fair that somebody can spend, 20 hours a week playing an MMO and claim to be this super devoted gamer and then not have that same title applied to me when I'm like doing that hardcore 3 LARP July that I was talking about. I mean, that's super devoted, because it's like my favorite game, and then like my second favorite game, and then my game that all my friends go to when they're not at the main game. It's like they're all happening at once, and so they're on different weekends, and I'm like, I'm just gonna do it, you know. And I mean, you guys, like, I don't know how many of you know Drew Carolla, but he's the guy that's always like, LARP harder, you know, like no matter how much how tough the conditions are and stuff like that. But I mean, I think I wouldn't necessarily take that totally seriously, but you know, there is something to be said for, like, if I'm putting this much time into, you know, working on music or writing letters and making all sorts of props for LARP, like, it blows my mind that that's not seen as hardcore gaming. It's just seen as like this nerdy activity or like some kind of addition to the fact that I'm a writer most of the time versus putting that creativity into, you know, designing mods for video games. Like, it's really different applications of the same creative skills. I just don't really art. I like write things, so you know, but it's pretty similar.
Your hobby, so.
Yes, I do.
Lots of
LARPing can be expensive.
Mhm. I have yet to
So,
spend any money. But
it will come.
beyond like site fees.
So my last question here. Yeah. So my last question here before we just kind of do a free-for-all and concluding thoughts kind of thing is, and we've alluded to this a little bit over the course of our conversation, does gender come into play with this topic? And is a woman expected to prove her credibility more than a man? And before we answer, I don't only want the women to answer this. I'm really curious about, you know, what the guy's perspective is on this as well, because, you know, you're seeing it from a different perspective than the rest of us. So I'm really looking forward to your answers as well. So who would like to start this one? And then after that, I'll go ahead and post up a list here.
Was someone starting?
Go for it. Go ahead, Kevin. You spoke, so now it's yours.
No, I'm all good. Yeah, I'll answer.
Great.
I think that it definitely has a role. I'm gonna go ahead and say that's an unfortunate role, because that is not me. Because you know, it just should be a non-factor. But the reality is, I think it is, and I'll give you two stories here. I mean, two examples, I guess I should say. The first one is, I actively know people who are men and identify as men who get onto certain gaming scenarios, let's say World of Warcraft, and pretend to be women, and even, you know, in sort of like if they're role playing, if they do out of character chat, they pretend to be women out of character chat, and the reason they do that is, in their minds, they get better loot when they're women. Now, I don't know if that's true or not. I'm not going to say whether that's true, but that's the reason they gave me. So, and I've seen that happen at LARP a lot, as some people will call it. I'm going to call it corset treasure, not the other name. But and that just right there is a straight up like example that gender plays a role, right? As a guy in LARP, I don't think I've ever been given anything just for being a guy. However, again, that's unfortunate. I feel like it's a negative connotation in both directions, right? Because why are people getting, let's say, bonus treasure? That's a negative connotation because of their gender, right? Or why are people not being given certain opportunities because of their gender? And so that's number one. And the second one is, you know, definitely, I just saw this on Facebook earlier today. So a friend of mine posted about how being a woman at LARP, people don't expect her to be like kick-ass at fighting, and she is, right? So whether you play a character, let's say a fighter, or a character that's a healer, or a character that's a mage, or whatever the case is, you know, going with standard fantasy class types there is a stigma in place where it's like women are not likely to be as good as men, which in my experience, just from like the ratios, that's hard to say. It's hard to say for two reasons. There's like 3 guys to every woman at a LARP. So if that woman is not as good as all 3 of those guys, you know, at a particular function, how can you say that they're not as good? Because they may be better than the first person, with the first guy may be equal to the second guy, and the third guy is better than they are at this particular function. So, there's no real comparison there in my mind. But having seen both men and women do various functions well and various functions not so well, that, again, the stereotype exists, even though I don't particularly see it to be credible, which I find very unfortunate.
I definitely wait. Repeat the question one more time because I don't want to screw this up.
Yep. The question is, does gender come into play with this topic? And is a woman expected to prove her credibility more than a man?
Okay. I'm guilty of saying that when it comes to survival games where it's permadeath, like DayZ, I have played these stupid, oh, I'm new to this, I don't know what I'm doing sort of thing to get the good guns so that way I can kill the guys and steal their shit. But in at least like the LARP that I've attended, we do have our female fighters that are absolutely terrifying, and if they're questioned, they'll go pretty balls to the wall. For a long time, the guild that I'm in with my LARP was referred to as the Gaming Girlfriends Guild until we started getting some women in Druids Guild that were more battle ready and that were more ready to strap on the armor and grab the war blunt and not be relying on the heavy-duty frontline fighters. I do feel, though, that there is a very, very negative stigma against, there's that sliding scale of, well, if you're a guy, you need to be able to sustain yourself and you need to be able to fight off all the monsters, and if you're a girl, it's totally okay for you to not know what you're doing and just expect someone to pick up your shit for you. It's definitely, I do feel like as a girl, as a woman, when it comes to anything involving game culture, whether it be at a convention or at a LARP or even doing tabletop, I feel like I have to explain myself that, no, I know what I'm doing, guys. I'm not stupid. That's just my opinion.
Also, healers don't get treasure. That's a rule.
Bullshit! Bullshit!
I stand there and hold my hand out. I've done it before. I'll stand there and hold my hand out, and then if, the tank doesn't pay me, then I just find the tank that does.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
I'm gonna get my bears on your asses.
What I was mentioning is the thing is, my character in my LARP is somewhat, it's like, oh, you need help, here you go, I'm going to help you, and not asking for stuff in return, which sucks when all you really want in the game at this point requires, a lot of money and stuff to afford to buy the training for, or the really cool weapons or magic items that you need all the money for. So it's like, I need this, but this other person is in trouble, or this person's poisoned and we need to buy the remedy, and I will help with that.
I feel that could be another whole call about healers,
But I mean, with battle ready healers, at our game, there are a good population of women and there are a good population of women fighters. My character comes from a Pendragon, which is sort of like an Arthurian with a little bit of Game of Thrones. They try and mix in. And in the lore, it says that it's a patriarchal society, but they do have women knights, and it's just you can't be. You're never going to be the leader of the country. You're never going to be the leader of the houses, but you can be it. So it's kind of weird because in the game they kind of build in women are supposed to be protected, but then I get into the game and I'm like, yeah, I know I'm really squishy, but I'm going to hit that thing with that sword. So you can stay behind me if you want. But then sometimes, new people come into game and oh, I'll protect you, and I'm like, why? You're great and all, but why? This nice guy, really nice guy, why do you want to protect me? It's I'm higher leveled, I got a lot more abilities. He didn't come out and say it's because I was a girl, but that was kind of there. So. Sorry, back to question.
Yes. Did everyone go? Tony, did you go yet?
No, I was listening to everybody in their remarks.
No, go right ahead. I have a good final, I guess not final statement, but a story, so I'll go last.
Uh-oh.
Well, a lot of people, you guys have pretty much gone the LARP route, so I'll go a different direction. Like with video games, really, that's really where this whole Gamergate thing is coming from. Is mostly from video games, and I'm not going to bullshit anybody. Gender does come into play, but you also have to think that early video gaming, you've had really mostly passive female characters. Princess Peach, Princess Zelda, Pauline. The only one who really kind of stood out from the mold was Samus. And, you go through this adventure, you don't even know that she's a female until the very end. And then by then, you've grown attached to this character. She's obviously a badass, but you don't know that until the very end of the game. So even with the female ass kickers, they don't play up to the fact that they're female. And so I think with the 30-somethings, that's what we knew, is that we just knew male protagonists and females are usually relegated to, the background. And so that plays a part of it. Now, for the second part of the question, is a woman expected to prove her credibility more than a man? Unfortunately, society says yes. Because, again, passive female characters, passive female role. And, am I saying that, is it right? No, of course not. But at the same time, you give us weak female characters, you expect weak female stuff. Nowadays, you got your Laura Crofts, and, these princesses are actually taking more of an active role now. Like Zelda is taking more of an active role. Each has her own video game. So it's a work in progress. We still have a long road to go. And that's what I think. I don't think that in our lifetime there's ever going to be a time when a man and a woman will ever stand, shoulder to shoulder. And that's unfortunate because there's so much that women can do that men just say, no, this is still our role. We're a dying breed, but I don't think that, at least not in my lifetime, I will see a woman and a man being treated as equal in the gaming community. And that's unfortunate because they should.
So, I guess in all of this, we also started, ignoring the fact that gaming for board games, as far as I could tell, there's a complete lack of gender identity with board games. In fact, they were really good about, in the 90s, ensuring that there were equal number of girls versus boys, and now they diversified to make sure that if they do show pictures of folks playing Connect 4 on the front of the box, that they've got, everybody under the sun of all skin colors and types, that way they can relate and want to buy the game, because it's something everybody can do.
Yeah, but that's starting to change. I've seen Chutes and Ladders now, colored the girl colors and things like that. So I guess some of it's kind of leaking into the board games because some of them are trying to identify, certain games for girls and certain games for boys.
There's always been a little bit of that. You'd say the same with marketing video games, too. But as far as I could tell, I didn't realize, I guess, that they did that. All of the Euro games I've seen, I've never seen an issue with girl or guy playing it. Nobody said, oh, you're a girl, you're not allowed to come over here and do this, or this is a guy-only game, we don't expect you to know all the rules or anything like that. There was never that stigma, at least in my gaming circles.
Well, sorry.
What was that?
Well, I was just going to say, with Euro games, that is almost a niche gaming group.
Sorry. If I can also kind of jump in one more time. I am actually a dungeon master for 8 people we're starting our campaign now, and there's 2 females. So there's still the guy-girl ratio, but just because you're a female doesn't mean that you should be exempt from being this or being that. Because one of the females in my game, all she really does is she kind of listens. She plays on her phone. Whenever you ask her a question, she's just like, "Yeah, let's do this." Or the other one is actually into it. She's actually into the narrative. She wants to learn the game because she's never played before, and she's actually into it. So don't think that just because you're a man or just because you're a woman, it exempts you from not gaming the game. So I don't know if that means anything here, but I just had that thought, so I thought I'd get that out.
And with the second, I can't do this. I'm gonna go.
Okay. Steph, did you have more to add?
Well, with the Eurogaming, I was just gonna say, like, as like, maybe niche is the wrong word for it, but it is a. It's like I don't know how to phrase it right, so I'm not gonna go back to it. But it's kind of like, it's gonna sound dumb. Smarter people maybe are playing Euro games because like, to me, it's sort of like there is the giant rule book that you have to go through, and you have to kind of understand what's going on. So like the kid who's playing Call of Duty probably is not going to go pick up Euro games. So it's like maybe the people who are marketing the Euro games, besides the fact that they're all European and probably have different marketing structures than we're used to on this side of the ocean, they might not be, marketing specifically to men or marketing specifically to women with their games. If I can remember the question. I don't remember the question again. Sorry, what's the question? Tara, what's the question?
She's distracted.
I'm going back to it. I don't remember. It was, hang on, opening up the question again here.
Topic, if so, is a woman expected to prove her credibility more than a man?
I missed the first half.
Thank you, yeah.
I missed the first half of that, though, because Robo Voice.
Does gender come into play with this topic? And is a woman expected to prove her credibility more than a man?
Yes, and probably. You guys have all made really good points. But like my experiences have been different, but I didn't necessarily have to prove myself. Or I'm just like not a person who does prove myself. Like, I went to a open D&D night for 4th edition when I never played 4th edition before, and they were kind of like, "Oh, look at this person who's never played 4th edition before. I bet she's never played D&D before." And I'm like, "No, I had a bunch of campaigns in 3.5 and 3.0 and other things." And so it was like, should I like try and do something really cool in 4th edition, even though I don't know how the rules work and I don't know any of these people? But I was like, nah, I'm there to have fun. So,
I have a question specifically for you, Stephanie, because you're really good with rules and numbers and organizations, and I know, like, especially in LARP, if I'm like, I forget what this skill does, or how do I, use this in a combo, like, you're the go-to person. Like, you just know the rules like the back of your hand. And I don't know, do you find that you like surprise people a lot with that? Like, they don't expect a woman to be like master of the rules?
I mean, I'm not sure. I mean, if they don't know me and they just hear me blurting out all the rules, they're gonna be like, "Oh, okay, that's a surprise." Or it's like, "How come you know so much about sorcery magic when you claim to be like this goody-goody two-shoes who hates sorcery?" And it's like, I like rules. Also, it is the same exact ability, just with the different name that the goody-goody two-shoes get too. So I don't know. I mean, I'm a rules nerd. Like, when I went LARPing, I didn't really know anybody. So to get comfortable with it, I actually just dove into the rule book and learned all the rules and all the information, and that kind of help bridge talking with people at the game. So,
I respect that so much because I'm totally the opposite. I'm like, I'll figure it out. I'll just make sure I know the basics so I don't actually kill anyone. And then like I go and I get social, and then I kind of like figure it out as I go, because if I try to remember numbers, it's just forget it, you know. That's how we became friends, I guess, right? Because we're listed.
Night, guys.
So I think my answer to the question, my short story about my LARP character, who started out as a very princess, actually, who talks like this all the time, and very typical princessy fairy character, wore like poofy skirts, and everything was just so, and you know, loved eating sugar, and came into town and found a protector right away because she felt like really defenseless and out of her element. And she went from that to being, and she still heals, but she's more of like a warrior type now. And she dresses more like, you know, you're a Celtic warrior badass. And just from the change, I think, in the costuming alone, there's a difference. Like, just based on how, when new people come into the game, how they treat her. It isn't like, oh, she has this powerful position or she can kick your ass. It's just like totally based on the way the character looks. I mean, her voice hasn't really changed that much, but like even just the look, I think it's like people don't respect the social badassery that she was always good at. You know, knowing secrets, trading favors, that kind of thing. It's just not respected. Whereas coming out and being able to say, you know, no, I'm going to challenge you if you say something bad about my king. I'm going to kick your ass. Like, people just automatically respect that, even if she can't kick their ass, that she's, like, ready to do it. She's like, I'm ready to die for my king. And I just think it's really interesting because, of course, the princessy type that she used to be, you know, is very stereotypically feminine, and the warrior type that she has become, you know, is more stereotypically masculine. And having played that out in a LARP, it's like one of those things I've noticed so much in real life too. It's like if I, you know, approach something one way in a professional situation versus approaching it like I've already won the day, you know, it's just, you know, that's how you're going to come across. And when it's tied to gender, or even like wearing certain colors, I've noticed that too in real life ever since I kind of LARPed my way through that, like wearing, you know, softer colors, or, you know, pinks and light purples versus, you know, wearing black and gray and like emerald colors that are like dark or powerful reds. It's just hugely noticeable, and that happens at the gaming table too. I think it just isn't something that just happens in character in LARP. You know, I think it's definitely a big part of it. So I would say definitely dressing a certain way, as well as, is a woman expected to prove her credibility more than a man in many circumstances? Yes. And again, that's something I've explored so much in LARP. You know, Steph went into detail about, you know, one of the cultures in the game. The culture that my character is a part of is kind of become, I would say, it's definitely not a matriarchy, but it's sorting out so that, you know, we have a king, but that all the people in charge beneath him are women. It's going to probably end up being, you know, his direct representative, and then the 3 representatives beneath her all being women probably in the next few months. And I kind of stand back and think about that, how that just kind of happened to fall into place. And it definitely made me rethink gender roles a lot, and especially considering and you know, you have to survive or you'll die kind of attitude. So I've really thought about it that way, and it's definitely made me realize that there's more than one way for one person or one character to be a badass, and I try and carry that with me in particular when I face these situations in gaming. But ultimately, I think you know, it is a gender thing, and I think maybe that's part of the reason we don't consider text-based role-playing games to be games that you could call yourself a gamer, because, you know, a lot of women are really good at those. You know, in most of the role-playing games that I've played online or forums, I could write circles around most of the other people. You know, in LARP, like, I might not even be great at remembering all the rules. I know enough to get by, but I can usually role-play circles around, you know, half the people there. And those strengths that are more often associated, I think, with women's strengths are just not seen as being gamer enough to call yourself a gamer. And, you know, I'd like to see that change. So those, I guess, are my closing thoughts. If anyone else has anything to say, feel free to jump in.
I'm lucky to play at a game where, yes, women have to prove themselves, but that's because the way our mechanics work, you have to be able to do everything your character does. You have to be able to fight as well as the guys. You have to be able to outrun them. You have to be able to actually pick the lock. So, really everyone has to prove themselves, especially women, though, because often not the players, but the characters will have something to say. Just because it's sort of a medieval environment, they always have something to say, unless they're elves. All the elves are matriarchal societies. But it's more of a physical prove yourself than a societal in my game.
Does anyone else have anything to say before we close out?
No.
No, I'm good.
All right, well, thank you for joining us for the Geek Initiative's first hangout, and thanks for bearing with me while I got all the technical difficulties sorted out. Now I know just to share that URL to the participants, and look forward to doing this, you know, maybe every couple weeks or so. Definitely welcome new topics. Definitely have a friend who is interested. He's a professional comic book artist, and he's expressed some interest in coming on board to talk about comics and art. So we've got coming up, and
If I can do just a little bit of selfless
that
promotion.
way you guys can hear about stuff that is said. It'll be Thursday with me. So if you have any other topics, please send them in, editor@geekinitiative.com. And you know, you can always toss a comment on our Facebook page. And thank you so much for everyone for joining us, and to our viewers for watching. And this is Tara the Bard signing off for the Geek Initiative. Good night, everyone.
Bye.